Monday morning. It's McCollum on Business. I'm Stephen McCollum, and for the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to get you updated on what's happening around the business world. Of course, we're coming off the July 4th holiday weekend. Hopefully, you had some fun out there. If not, at least you stay cool inside, as it's, of course, temperature rising up a little bit on us here as well. And we're live here on YouTube, TME Media AZ. And let's get it started with that Market Watch. And here we go. First, Monday of the new month here of July, as the month came in and Wednesday of last week. And then, of course, we had the holiday weekend with the markets being closed on Friday. Dow Jones right now are opening 105 points, down 52,756. The Dow did briefly touch 53,000 for the first time earlier today, and then the sell-off has happened as it's down 102 points to 52,756, as we just said out there. The S&P 500 is up 7 points this morning to 75.15 for it. The Nasdaq's up 244 points. Chip stocks making a comeback here today, if you will. Buying galore here for the Nasdaq, 242 up, 26,074 for the Nasdaq here this morning. Then you got the Russell 2K, that small cap index, 10 points up to 3,015 as of right now. And then there's Bitcoin. Did get up into the 63,000 range over the weekend. Well, it's back down here to 61,728. Our last show of last week was Wednesday. That thing was down at 58,000 at that time. Did get a buy here over the holiday weekend. I saw last night, actually. It was at 63,000 yesterday afternoon. But like I said, down about 1,824 points here to 61,790 right now. But above 60,000, I guess we can say, is pretty well. Oil, well, it's trading to almost pre-war levels as of right now as well. So good start here to what will be the rest of July, as of the holiday, beginning of the month being kind of shook up with that 4th of July holidays out there as well. Treasury yields are a little bit lower today as well. Investors are looking ahead to the meeting minutes of the voting board of the Federal Reserve. Should be out later on today as well. So everybody's kind of waiting for that to happen, as we are sitting here on this Monday morning around the market. Today, well, stocks we're paying attention to. First one's going to be Intel out there. I told you chip stocks were on a buy here today as well. It's been kind of volatile lately. Sell off one day, buy another day. The iShares Semiconductor ETF, which has a lot of these companies in it, is up today as well. But after a 2-day slide last week, sent that ETF down more than 11% last week. Well, today, everything is kind of up here, including the individual stocks. Intel, it's up 4.57% right now. For them, Advanced Micro Devices is the next one we're going to look at. They're up 7.48% as we look at them right now. Then you got Broadcom, which we're going to talk about Broadcom here coming up here in a few stories. But Broadcom's up 5.32% here on this Monday. So chip stocks having a good day here on the market so far for them. It'll continue today. I guess the question with these chip stocks is, what'll tomorrow look like? As it seems like an up and down kind of thing here with these chip stocks. And then later on, when we come back and look at stocks, we're going to look at Comcast. You know, they said they're going to spin off their cable TV side of things. We'll talk a little bit about them. And then T-Mobile here in the U.S. We'll talk about the T-Mobile U.S. shares as well as we come back later on and look at these stocks out there. But first, let's get you updated on some international, local, I guess not international. I guess it is international, right? The North American trade agreements out there. And President Trump did come out on Friday and said they are not going to extend the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. This is that USMCA. What they're going to do instead, President Trump said, is he's going to pursue independent trade deals with Canada and Mexico. So 2 separate deals as opposed to one encompassing one. So he said all this last week on Friday afternoon, I do believe is when he said it. It might have been Saturday. My days after vacation get a little confused out there. Well, if you remember, Wednesday marked the deadline for that review. It's a 6-year review for that agreement as well. The Trump administration official told Fox Business that the president opted against extending the agreement. The USMCA, which replaced NAFTA, if you remember, that was negotiated during Trump's first term, signed in December 2019. It took effect on July 1st, 2020. So it remains in effect until 2036, and then until a new agreement is agreed on, or else it just kind of goes away at that time. Now, the official that spoke to Fox Business indicated Trump will instead pursue, as I said, separate deals with Canada and Mexico. He wants those deals to last up to 10 years with those countries as well. He also said the U.S. will continue to engage with Mexico and Canada to address what the administration views as shortcomings in the agreement, as well as U.S. trade deficits with both countries, meaning we're importing more of their products. They're not taking more of our products in terms of their exports as well as we export out to them coming up here. Which this deal makes sense if you think about it, because Trump has only met with Mexico one on one in terms of this trade agreement. Now there's yet to meet with Canada one on one as well. And kind of Canada was on the sideline here for the early negotiations of this deal. So we kind of get that story out at the end of last week. And I already told you earlier here when we were looking at the stocks and oil prices, they're hovering near pre conflict levels over the weekend. But then also, OPEC Plus has agreed to increase production again. So that's going to obviously add to the global crude supplies. As the Strait of Hormuz and the products coming out of there continue to recover after those, but since February 28th disruptions out of that area. So the OPEC Plus said it would raise output targets by 188,000 barrels per day. They're going to start this in August, marking its third consecutive monthly increase because it's gradually unwinding production cuts implemented back in 2023. So this decision by OPEC Plus, excuse me, reflects easing concerns about a lingering global supply crunch. Oil experts from the Persian Gulf have begun rebounding after the Strait of Hormuz did reopen after the Iran U.S. conflict. So oil getting a little bit more of a bump here in those. I tell you this, prices in California were sky high. I think we filled up yesterday for $5.49 a gallon is roughly what it was. So over there, it might be rebounding a little bit and coming down. I know it's mostly taxes in California. Here, I don't know what they are here in Phoenix, as I did not pay attention to that driving back in, but prices should be coming down. Cost of oil a barrel is back down to those low levels as well. We showed you the Broadcom stock and stocks in general here in the chip sector when we were looking at stocks earlier. Well, Broadcom, and from their side, they said that this morning that they had agreed to expand with a partnership with Apple. That expansion, that agreement is through 2031. It's all to develop and supply custom chips, which eases concerns over the over the Apple's reliance on, specifically Broadcom. We got kind of numbers here coming up for you. We know Apple's kind of expanding out with Intel, and they already have a deal with Taiwan Semiconductor that's kind of strained. And by strained, I mean production maximums. They're talking to Intel about some chips as well. But Broadcom, well, they've been supplying key components to Apple pretty much the whole time Apple's been making iPhones, etc., including radio frequency chips used for iPhones for connecting to cellular networks, the Wi-Fi portion of your phone, the Bluetooth connectivity. That's what they kind of work with. Networking semiconductors, we'll put it that way. Apple accounts for about 20% of Broadcom's annual revenue. So it's one of the Broadcom's largest customers out there. So just Apple does develop its own chips, as I said, like the C1 modem, but they use Taiwan Semiconductor for those types of items. Apple relies on Broadcom for wireless and radio frequency components. Now, this extended partnership through 2031 reinforces Apple's strategy of locking in long term supply agreements with key chip makers. to bolster the resilience of its supply chain. Remember, Apple had to put through a price increase on MacBooks, etc. Was that a week or two ago? Because of the demand there. So they're trying to secure up their supply chain moving forward, especially with these chips in high demand from a lot of companies and AI data centers out there as well. If you remember back in 2023, these two companies, Broadcom and Apple, they announced a multi-billion-dollar agreement for Broadcom to develop and manufacture those 5G radio frequency components at that time as well. So Broadcom continuing that relationship. They were up today, as we showed you earlier in the show as well. And now talk a little bit about Tesla, right? Kind of been out of the news lately with SpaceX kind of taking over the Elon Musk conglomerate of companies and the focus. Well, we found out Tesla car sales actually rose over the past 3 months. Second straight quarter in a is what their sales have risen in, which they've been down for a while, specifically in the U.S., but also in China over the last year or so until these last couple quarters. But this is also showing that all the controversy around Elon Musk has kind of died down as well. The obviously the CEO of the company, Tesla. Well, they reported Thursday that it delivered 480,126 cars, much higher than the 384,122 cars that they did just a year ago. Now, Europeans last year, not just Americans, but Europeans were mad at Musk because of his far right political candidates and, his political stuff, Doge here in the United States. So now Europeans are starting to buy again, as well as Americans are as well. I mean, being in San Diego over the weekend, lots of Teslas running around over there. I mean, it seems like every other car you see is a Tesla. The second quarter sales figure came in higher than analysts' expectations of 401,000 for the sales. Well, Tesla didn't break out figures for various parts of the world in this reporting, but an earlier report from European trade groups, they reported big sales increases over in Europe in May. A 300% rise in Germany just by itself. Yeah. So people in Europe starting to buy again. So Tesla, well, they're putting their high sales hope on cheaper Model Y and Model 3 that are out there. They were introduced last year, so the cheaper versions is what they're hoping for. It also expects Europeans will they'll look for its cars as more countries approve use of the driver assistant feature, that full self-driving. The supervised one where you have to have your hands on the wheel still, but it still drives itself. More countries are approving that, making the car wanted more out over in the European side. The Netherlands approved the system. It's already available here in the U.S. as well. But the Netherlands were the latest. It's also available in Estonia, Greece, Lithuania as well. And as it becomes more available there in Europe, people want those cars, basically to drive themselves out there as well. And skip over to kind of this is we'll call this entertainment, but it's on the video game side of things. And last week, I think it was on Friday, but like I said, my days kind of run together. But Sony is doing something a lot of other mediums have gone to in the entertainment business. Yeah, Sony's ending production of physical discs for its new PlayStation game releases. Now, it's not going to happen until January of 2028, but it is coming. So, obviously, this is a significant step in the gaming industry's transition to digital distribution. Now, this is interesting because I prefer the disc that I do download. One, even with high speed internet, takes forever to download a game to put it on your system. Then you have the hard drive space issues as the whole game is stored on there as opposed to on the disc out there. So I prefer the disc side. I'm not a big fan of the digital downloads in terms of gaming. But Sony, they announced the decision last week in a post on its official PlayStation blog. They said all new games released after January of 2028 will be available through the PlayStation Store and then retailers and digital formats only. The company said this move reflects changing consumer behavior. They said it's because more players are purchasing and downloading games digitally rather than buying the physical copies. They're going to save a lot of money as opposed to putting it on disc with boxes and covers and shipping them out as well. They're not just because they're going to this move doesn't mean we're going to see price decreases, though, right? Even though they're saving a ton of money. The change will not affect games that have already been released or titles scheduled to launch on disc before January of 2028. But this is just another milestone in the entertainment industry's, migration away from physical media, right? Music obviously has been digital for a long time. Movies have moved that way, like Netflix. Think Netflix there. PC gaming, on the PC side of things, they've embraced digital distribution a lot over the past decade as well. Most computers don't even have CD-ROM, drives anymore on them, so you have to go to that downloading side as well. But all of this reduces manufacturing, packaging, shipping costs, and so they're going to save a lot of money, probably millions of dollars in money by not doing this. Um, but I don't know. I'm old school. I really like the physical disc out there. And then here's the other side. They can control that game. They can still control the disc side of it. Don't get me wrong, because everything's online, but they can control your access to the game if it's digital, and more control for them as well. You don't actually own it like you do a physical disc out there. Hey, when we come back here to McCollum on Business, we're rocking and rolling here on this Monday, getting back into the swing of things. We'll keep it rolling. We'll look at the market watch again. Of course, we'll look at Comcast, T-Mobile US shares as well today. Both companies doing something we'll let you know about. Of course, some local stories here. Sky Harbor, more construction coming its way out there. And if you notice a difference driving around town, yeah, Amazon's taking over vacant storefronts. We'll talk about that as well. And Krispy Kreme's getting rid of something, but are they expanding their lineup also? I'll tell you about Krispy Kreme coming up. Come on back, folks. Monday's edition. I'll call them on business. And we're back here, Monday's edition of McCollum on Business. Appreciate you joining us here for this July 6th episode. Of course, we took about 4 days off over the 4th of July weekend, recharge the batteries, get out of town, get out of the heat a little bit as well. Although San Diego's a little humid, right? And you kind of have to deal with those sides of things during the day. But man, it was nice for the fireworks there on Saturday night over there as well. And of course, we're back here this week as well. McCollum on Business live 7 a.m. Of course, everything's live on YouTube, but that is live with us. So the main event coming up next, live 8 to 10 a.m. as well, here on YouTube. TME Media AZ shares with your friends as well. And join us live. If you can't view us live, well, you have two options to catch us. The video side of it, of course, on demand on YouTube. Everything goes up on demand. And then over at Rumble, rumble.com/user/TME Media. Right above the videos that pop up, you can click channels, and then all of our shows come up at that point as well for you. Everything is over there on demand as well, including on that side. Well, it's not on YouTube, but it is on Rumble, The Real Matrix. Took Friday off because it was the holiday. New episode coming up this week for you for The Real Matrix as well. And so that gets underway. Of course, all of the programming except for this one does have a free audio podcast for you. Just search the show name, whether it be the Pit Stop, whether it be the Real Matrix with the Angry Fan, the Pit Stop with Steven, the main event with Steven, or the main event with Dale. Out there on your favorite podcast system, it pops right up for you out there. Of course, last weekend, NASCAR was in Chicagoland over the weekend. Was only able to catch some of it being on vacation, but racing continuing up this week as well. So, new episode of the Pit Stop coming this week for you, as always. And we look back at last week's racing, ahead to this week's racing, and looking forward to catching up on those races here later on today, since I didn't get to see them live over the weekend. And all of our programming, TME Media AZ on YouTube, rumble.com/user/TME Media, or on your favorite podcast system. Real Matrix returning this week. Do not forget that as well. Hey, let's move on here, right, and get into this because it's a Monday after the holiday weekend. So far, everything seems to be going well except for the Dow when we looked at it earlier. So let's get back into that market watch. And Dow is still down here this morning, 67 points down, 52,785. S&P 500's up 16 points to 75.24. The NASDAQ, well, it's up 286 points. We covered the tech stocks, the chip stocks earlier in the program when we looked at stocks. Well, NASDAQ's up that 290 to 26,122. And then you got the small cap index. The Russell 2K is up 7 points here today, 3,012. And then Bitcoin, well, pushing 62,000 now here today. Before it was down 1,800. Now it's only down 1,663. Bitcoin above 60,000 here this morning. And over the weekend, like I said, yesterday I saw it hit 63,000 at one point. 61,866 for Bitcoin here on this Monday morning. And seems to be found at a sweet spot here at 60,000 for Bitcoin. Stocks we're paying attention to right now, we only have a couple in this segment. First one, Comcast, is what we're going to look at. Interesting here by Comcast. They announced they're going to spin off its cable TV side, and of course that means NBC Universal, Sky, which is a UK-based media company. Well, Comcast is actually down today, 2.12%. They announced Sky announced itself, the UK-based version of Sky, announced it will buy rival ITV's television business. Comcast owns Sky, as I said, for right now, but they're going to spin them off with its media assets. But Sky, with the announcement of that purchase, down 2.19% here today for Comcast. And then there's T-Mobile US. We're going to look at their US stocks out there, and they're up 1.74% right now for them. Bank of America raised its rating to buy. It was a neutral before. Bank of America did say investors are reacting to what it calls peak bearishness in the telecommunications sector. And they say that T-Mobile US stocks more than 20% fall from its 2026 highs in February. They're saying it's overdone. So they're saying the sell-off on T-Mobile since February is overdone. Bank of America raised their rating to buy from neutral, and that's why they're up 1.72% here today as well for T-Mobile US. And then we got some local stocks we have to tell you about here today. And Phoenix Sky Harbor getting some changes, more construction coming its way. Yeah, the U.S. Department of Transportation has awarded over $33 million to airports here in Arizona specifically, but over half of that amount's going to Phoenix Sky Harbor. So the FAA said in a statement over $1.7 billion in grants were announced at the end of last week are for upgrades to America's airports. Things like runway rehabilitation, safety improvements around at the airport as well. So the Sky Harbor's allocation, I think they're on what I was trying to say. It's going to be about $18 million on that side as well. That money is going to go towards projects currently under construction as well. So For instance, the Taxiway U project, according to a release I saw from Sky Harbor, that's the bridges over Sky Harbor Boulevard on the west side of the airport. They'll have a new connection between the north and south airfield for the airplanes out there. The only taxiways to go from one side of the airport to the other for the planes, that's that one on the east side of the airport. That's famously, you see it there on your screen, actually. A plane's just crossed it at that point as well. So that project, the Taxiway U project, well, its budget is over $330 million. It's expected to be completed in 2027. So it'll just allow them on both sides of the airport to cross and to the other side as well. Big money coming into the airport to kind of help out and alleviate some of the expenses on current projects out there for Phoenix Sky Harbor. And then you might have noticed this a little bit if you're driving around and notice things. Amazon, a lot of vacant storefronts out there, and Amazon's kind of taking over a bunch of them out there. They're doing small properties, they're doing these vacant storefronts here in the valley, all because of that 30-minute grocery delivery service that they've started. That's kind of how they're going to get it out. Closer venues to where you are, obviously. If it takes 30 minutes to drive to you, obviously you're not getting it in 30 minutes. So they're taking over these small storefronts and things for that reason. The Amazon has filed liquor license applications. They to search for those. That's under Prime Now slash Amazon Fresh is what they're using those liquor applications for out there as well. But there's two. That's how they're finding that Amazon's taking over these small buildings and storefronts out there as well. So Amazon, so it's happening all over the valley. A couple in Phoenix, several in Scottsdale as well, coming your way. And that's like I said, that's for that 30-minute delivery application that you can find in the app as well. Amazon doesn't own the properties at all. They're just signing them over and leasing them now with that Amazon Now program as well, where you can get those stuff in 30 minutes or less. So you're going to start seeing some changes here as you drive around with those Amazon quick sites out there and helping the local real estate in the vacant areas as well for Amazon. And then there's Krispy Kreme, folks. We'll end the show with, of course, a food story. We don't, I kind of put them at the end now as kind of a joke, but for a while there, where they just happened to be the last stories. And now I kind of do it just for tradition's sakes. But Krispy Kreme, they have an inspiration, and that is Girl Scout cookies out there. And now, kind of they lean on that a little bit. Well, they have a trio of new donuts inspired by those Girl Scout cookies. They're going to be available for a limited time, July 7th. So tomorrow is when they're going to be available nationwide out there. So you can get them individually. You can get them by the dozen as well. And they say, Krispy Kreme says, they are perfect for sharing with friends, bringing into the office, or simply treating yourself. Isn't that what all donuts are, by the way? You can start every release with that from that side. Girl Scout cookie flavors are iconic for a reason, Krispy Kreme said in a statement. Reimagining them as donuts is a fun way to bring those familiar favorites to fans in a completely new and truly irresistible way. More of what they said there. So tomorrow, obviously Girl Scout cookie season's not right now, so you can kind of get back into that nostalgia of your favorite Girl Scout cookie out there. Those go. Though I know those are January. I want to say end of March, beginning of April for Girl Scout cookies as well. To get those. So here are the colors or flavors you can get of the Krispy Kreme donuts. Because if they didn't have Thin Mints, I'd be disappointed, and they do, folks. So it's limited time, as I said, but the three flavors are Thin Mint donuts, an original glazed donut dipped in chocolate icing, topped with Thin Mints, cookie crumbles, and dark chocolate chips. It's drizzled with mint green icing. Gotta have that one. Lemon Ups donut, an unglazed shell donut filled with lemon crisp cream filling, dipped in lemon flavoring icing, and finished with a bright lemon-inspired design. And then one I'm not a big fond of, the coconut caramel donut. You might be a fan of this one. Yeah, I'm just not a fan of these types of donuts here as well. But they say that's an original glazed donut dipped in a chocolate icing and topped with coconut and caramel. inspired by Samoa's and caramel delight cookies. There's your three flavors for you, folks. Available limited time starting tomorrow. And you can relive your Girl Scouts cookies rejection or upsetness here in July. Go to Krispy Kreme starting tomorrow. Limited time there for those Girl Scout cookie flavors. Only three. Not mean they couldn't make the other ones, or those are the three most popular, kind of what you have to think about here as well for those. But there you go, folks. Good way to start the week here by getting some Krispy Kreme donuts as well. Autumn chimes in. Don't forget, join the chat on YouTube as well. It says, wonder what the change on the disc will do to stores like GameStop. Well, that's what you got to wonder, right? No physical disc, going back to that PlayStation story out there. Well, they'll be able to sell the digital downloads, a code for it and everything. That's probably also why GameStop has moved to other things, Pokemon cards and other collectible items over the years, to kind of hedge against just having the video games. But as Ethan points out in the chat as well, Xbox, Nintendo games, you still get those there and things. So as well. So Ann chimes in on the Girl Scout cookies. What? No tag along? No, I know Krispy Kreme's letting you down. Krispy Kreme's letting you down. Thin Mints is the one that I'm not surprised. They got to have that one. There's two or three like tag-alongs. They're really popular, and they didn't get those out there. I know. So, Krispy Kreme, only three flavors. We'll see. Maybe if they sell really good, they'll expand that line of Girl Scout cookies. I don't know. I don't know what their plans are out there. So, hey, appreciate you joining us. Get on the chats as well during the live shows. We have the main event coming up live right now as well. Pit stop later in the week. As well as the Real Matrix later in the week as well. We appreciate you coming joining us here on this Monday morning. Of course, with McCollum on Business, main events coming up next. Big sports weekend, especially on the World Cup side. Diamondbacks doing what Diamondbacks do, playing 500 ball out there. And then, of course, a lot to talk about on the sports side. So come and join us, would you? I'm Stephen McCollum, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Have a great Monday night.